My name is Kyle Sublett, and I'm a full-time student, employee, husband, and father. I received my associate's degree shortly after graduating high school, but failed to move forward as I worked to raise my family. I decided now's the time to follow my wife's footsteps and make a career change that I've always wanted. That is to become a special education teacher. I want to be an example to my children that it is never too late to accomplish your goals and dreams. There is so much more to special education than related services and math and reading help. Some students who have severe disabilities are nonverbal and are unable to communicate with words. There are some students who are able to make sounds, but it's difficult for parents and teachers to be able to determine what their wants and needs are. No student should feel like they do not want to have a voice or a choice in their life. There are students that, with the right tools, can communicate as effectively as you and me. Imagine not being able to tell someone if you are hungry, thirsty, cold, or sleepy. These students often throw fits and tantrums because they have no other means to get their issues heard. With the PECS book or Picture Exchange Communication System, students are able to learn how to communicate clearly and effectively. My goal on this project was to do as much research as possible on this subject to find out what kinds of students have communication difficulties and how they might benefit from a PECS book. Then learn to create a PECS book of my own that a nonverbal student could use to communicate. With the amount of collaboration that typically occurs between a special education teacher and a speech pathologist, I decided to choose Ms. Priest as my mentor. She's a speech language pathologist assistant at my wife's school. She even teaches my own daughter in speech class, so I know she is knowledgeable when it comes to speech and communication. She has had students who are nonverbal and used this type of communication system with them before. I knew she would be an asset to this project. The timeline I had set for myself was 3 weeks. I wanted to spend a week doing research and finding out as much as I could on this subject. I wanted to spend a week gathering my materials and putting together my book. I knew the last week would be reviewing the book with Ms. Priest and making any final changes needed. Thankfully, Ms. Priest had all the available materials that I needed to complete this project. Therefore, I was out no cost. My plan was to spend time doing the research on PECS and how each student can utilize it as their communication system. I knew Ms. Priest would be there to guide me along the way and answer any questions that may arise. As we started talking about the project, she had the idea that at the end, we test out the book on a few select students who have communication deficits. This was an unexpected part of my project, but I knew it would be a great experience and even more knowledge for me to take with me. Not only to make a PECS book, but actually learn how to use it and test it out on a couple of the students. I started doing the research and gathered all of the materials I knew I would be needing. I had to decide on the pictures that I wanted to use for the book. We had already decided to do a small book starting out and limit to 3 pictures per page. I decided on a small red book, printed out my selected pictures, and then laminated them. I discussed with Ms. Priest about how to categorize the pictures and which way they needed to be placed in the book. Once I had finished the book, we both looked over it and made a few adjustments. We decided on the final project and decided to try it out. I watched for a few minutes as she utilized the book with a student to see how she interacted with the student in the process of using the pictures. Once I caught on to how she was using the book with the student, I stepped in and was able to work with the student myself. For the second student, I started off using the book with Miss Priest, there to guide me if any obstacles were to arise. I do feel like I achieved my goal for this project. I learned a lot about nonverbal students and their communication needs. I also learned about the Picture Exchange Communication System, or PECS, and completed my own book that was able to be used with actual students. Overall, I would say that this project was a success, and I enjoyed completing it with Ms. Priest.